Hi, and welcome to this version of TinyTableauTips with me, the Tableau Jedi from Norway. Today I'm going to talk about calculated fields and give you some tips and tricks in here. And we can look at this data where we have ship mode and some profit. And then we have this check ship type mode. Let's go in and edit this calculated field. Here's the first tip. Use Control plus or Control and the scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in so it's a bit easier to see the text. And then, of course, every time you create a calculated field, always add these forward slashes so that you can comment and document what you're doing. One thing that I've forgotten to do in here is to put in today's date and my name. And then, of course, you have an explanation of what you're doing. Another tip in here, if you need to block comment something, you can do forward slash and star. And then you can do star and forward slash, and then you block comment out instead of doing the forward slashes all over the place. But let's keep this one for now. So I'm going to do a case of my ship mode, and then I'm going to put in the values in here. But to make sure that I actually spell them correctly, capital letters and everything, one thing we can do is if I click on ship mode, and then on the right-hand side, that's also a recommendation, always keep this window open because you have you can organize all your functions that are available in Tableau in here, different types, they're grouped, then you can look at all of them. And then also you can click on these to get a syntax, explanation, and an example. But in this case, if I click on ship mode, you see that, well, ship mode, this is a field that is a string, and then I can go to describe, get a describe this field, then I can copy these values, Control C, close this, go back to my calculated window, and I get these spelled correctly, so I could move them into my particular calculation so that I'm sure that they are correct. Just going to do these three, put it in here, and get rid of standard class because I'm not going to use this in my calculation. When I now hit apply, if we look in the background, you see that I get the correct values. Another tip in here is that we see the else statement. It says we don't care, but there should be like this small apostrophe or whatever it's called in don't. But if I do the thing in here, see that the calculation contains error because Tableau thinks this is the first text and whatever happens after. So the trick is you can use these double quotation marks in here instead of the single ones. Then you can keep the single one inside of the don't. If I click apply, we see it in here as well. Another tip while we're at it, if I still look at this same type of data, I'm going to look at days to ship actual. Maybe I'm going to put that into the view. And then I'm going to right click and edit this. When I do this, zoom in, of course, I have a look at this, and maybe I'm going to add in a different calculation, maybe days to ship scheduled. I'm going to just drag and drop. You don't have to write in. You can do that as well, but you can also drag and drop. When I do this, and then how was this calculation again? I can't remember. If you right click and say edit, this calculation window will be closed, and then you need to open up or go back and forth, basically. Once again, keep this window on the right-hand side open because when I click days to ship scheduled, I will see my data, the comments that I've added, and also the calculation. So you don't have to go back and forth. The final tip I'm going to share when we talk about calculated fields is that, okay, now I'm changing the days to ship actual. I can say apply and see that the values are changing in the background in this view. But also pay attention to these dependencies, because if I click on this and zoom in a bit, you see that this actually changes or might change the following fields, all of these, and maybe even some different sheets, parameters, other things that this calculation will be connected to. So make sure that you pay attention to all of these. So hopefully you learned some more tips about calculated fields today. I'm going to share more in the next Tiny Tableau tip session. So please click and subscribe.